Welcome to another Mr. M's video. This one explains using the following guidelines to help you write a solid paragraph. Before we look at a closer look at writing a solid paragraph, let's look at the overview. Your first sentence is going to be your claim. Sentences 2 through 4 will be quote sandwich number 1, which includes the first piece of evidence, quote 1. Sentences 5 through 7 equals quote sandwich number 2, includes the second piece of evidence, quote number 2, and sentence number 8 is the conclusion. If we look quickly at quote sandwich, maybe this is something you're not familiar with. Let's look at some examples of quote sandwich. And when I say sandwich is, think a hamburger, think a sandwich, think you have the buns, you have the meat and the toppings. The bun is where you're going to introduce your quote. The meat of your sandwich is the quotation, and then the bottom bun is where you're going to explain it. If you look at a different quote sandwich with a little more detail, you'll see that the top part of your sandwich includes the idea that quote will support. It introduces the idea that your quote will support. It sets the stage. Then you have the quote, and then you explain the quote. Okay, so now a closer look at a solid paragraph. Sentence 1 is the claim. Remember, when you are writing a claim, you need to restate the prompt. If you do this, you will have title, author, and genre tag. You have an answer to that, and then you give a reason or reasons. You don't go into any detail. It's clear and concise. Clear and concise. After your claim, you have your first quote sandwich, which includes your first piece of evidence. So the first part of your quote sandwich introduces your piece of evidence by setting the stage for the quote. Where, when, how. These are all questions that could be addressed here. Maybe if it was a novel, you would say, maybe if we're talking about Long Walk to Water, you might say, Salva has just left the first refugee camp that he was at, and something even more terrific occurs. Excuse me. Sentence number 3, the middle part of your quote sandwich is the actual piece of evidence itself. And you want to remember that you have no hanging quotes. Well, what does this mean? You just can't have a quote. You need to have something like the author writes, and then it is comma, then it's quotation marks, quote, quotation marks, paragraph or page number in parentheses, and then the end punctuation. What does this look like? It looks like this right here. Linda Sue Parks writes, comma, quotation marks, one step at a time, one day at a time, just today, just this day to get through. And quotation marks in parentheses for the novel. It was a page number for what you're working on. For most of the monthly writing tasks, it would be a paragraph number, and then you have a period there. Sentence 4, you're going to explain your quote in relation to the claim. You got to, don't forget why you're writing the paragraph. You're writing the paragraph to answer the question. So you need to make sure your quote answers the question. This quote shows, but you have to explain it. You just can't say something like, this quote shows that your claim is true. You have to explain and show how it's true. You need to make an inference. Think back to the charts that we did that had quotes and inferences. After you've done that, you're going to repeat that whole quote sandwich concept again for sentences 5 through 7 with the second piece of evidence supporting your original claim. And then your last sentence of your paragraph is a concluding sentence where you restate the claim and wrap up the paragraph. Don't shortchange the conclusion. And definitely don't have a "that's all, folks" ending. If you think of cartoons with Porky Pig saying "that's all, folks," you want to make sure that you end with something substantial. You can also include a personal anecdote or insight here if it supports your claim. If it's not related to your claim, you're not going to want to do that. Okay, I hope this gets you focused on writing a solid paragraph. As always, if you have any questions, if it's during conference time, please ask through private chat so that we're not interrupting classmates while they're writing their paragraphs. And if it's later on, definitely contact me by email or through Canvas inbox. Have a great day. And if I don't get to tell you this beforehand, have a wonderful holiday, and I'll see you back here next year. Bye-bye.